Koby, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So Koby, the NBA was the first professional league in the US to suspend its season as a result of the pandemic environment. Tell us a little bit about how the current environment has affected your organization specifically and your career field more generally.
Well, I think for everyone, it was a unprecedented pause for everyone in the world, specifically, and especially in sports, and how much we've missed sports. As we're recording this as well, the NBA is working on a plan to return to action at the end of this month, July 29th. But it's been well over 100 days without NBA basketball, and it was almost 100 days without sports overall. I think, NASCAR and golf, PGA got back to it recently, but that's a long time without sports. And I remember when we shut down March 11th, I was actually on the road scouting because we're going to have a pretty high draft pick this year. And I was in Vegas, and I was at the Pac-12 tournament scouting. And I think about the massive amounts of crowds in the arena. And after we watched a game, we went out to dinner that night, and we saw it happen live on the screen. They were playing the Dallas Mavericks game. And I remember Mark Cuban, who's the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, was sort of looking at his phone because he saw the same thing we saw, was that we're going to postpone the games for the rest of the night. And then the next day we indefinitely postponed the season. And I couldn't tell you back then, was it going to last a month? Was it going to last 3 months? I certainly didn't think it was going to take this long, but this is where we are. Specifically to us, with the Cavaliers, we had a lot of momentum going with our young team. We were excited to complete the season, but the NBA draft was our next big event, and that has been pushed back as well. And I was literally in the midst of scouting for our pick when everything got shut down. And so not just did we get shut down, but our pipeline of talent got shut down. So you had college conference tournament shutting down left and right after we made our first postponement, and every other sport followed suit. And so it was a very strange time. It still is. And I think, the NBA trying to return right now in the bubble of Orlando, in the midst of a surge in cases, in the nation, is our best chance to return to action and finish the season this year. As for us, we're still trying to figure out what our off season looks like during a pandemic. Incredible challenges ahead, but we're excited about the future. And we're in a hurry up and wait phase where we want to do so much, but you really can't. You really have to slow down and approach it the way it is, which is it's going to be some time.
Now, just in terms of the planning in the near term to determine your practices and protocols, if you will, during the pandemic, have you actually looked and learned from other industries or organizational types as they've kind of done their planning? Any lessons you might be able to take from them?
Well, I think where we're very fortunate is we have an incredible partnership with Cleveland Clinic, which is one of the best hospitals in the country and in the world, really. And we sort of taken their lead on, okay, we actually, so the NBA shut down March 12th. And there was a weird, I'd say almost like a lag period where, could we still practice? Could we still come to our facilities? And we stopped immediately because we got advice from the clinic to say, hey, look, this thing is spreading rapidly. It's better to just stay at home as you go about this. And then from there, once we had the new reality of, okay, this is going to be some time, I think where we looked to find help and how we can virtually manage this was through different technology companies, and how different corporations were working virtually, with thousands of employees who are at home. Our parent company is Quicken Loans, and they had already put things in place with their staff of how they were going to work from home. And there's massive amounts of employees that were going to work from home. And so, like we're on now, a Zoom call, that became the lifeblood as you wanted to communicate with your staff, with your players, and with your fellow, people in the league as well. So we've been on Zoom calls more than most, I think, but the communication is still key, and I think everyone wants to hear from you as a leader, and they want to hear, even if it's a I don't know, it's a helpful I don't know, because they hear where you're coming from.
I can certainly identify with the increase in Zoom calls. Now, I'm just curious, and this is like self-reflection on your part, as you've been coping with and dealing with the environment from a professional standpoint, what are some of the things, the experiences, past experiences that you've had that you've drawn upon to help you kind of manage your way through this?
It's difficult. I think for us, especially in a front office position, my first position in the front office was a scout. I was a pro scout, and that's sort of how I came up. And I was on the road 20 days a month, constantly in airports, in hotels, in different NBA cities, in different college towns, scouting, because that's the lifeblood of what we do, to procure talent for the Cavaliers. And so to have that taken away was extremely difficult, because that's sort of what you knew and what you did. And so you sort of had to find a new routine. You had to find a new normal. And whether that was, getting up early in the morning, getting some kind of exercise in, getting to the computer, digging yourself out of the emails, the massive amounts of emails and electronic conversations that happen now, but get back to a place of where you felt you were accomplishing something. Or whether that means watching film, or having that productive conversation from somebody from another team or from another industry that can help you. And that's what I had to find, because it got taken away. Our normal got taken away. Coming to the office, going on the road scouting, being with the team on the road and watching the team play, having those interactions. I mean, I think for us, one of my biggest skill sets is interpersonal relationships. And it was really difficult not to see people every day. And so I had to get beyond that and figure out different ways how I can be successful virtually, but also from a mental health standpoint, I had to figure out how to accomplish things, even though I couldn't see them being done on a day-to-day basis like I used to. And so I had to find a routine, and I had to find a new normal. And it was not easy, and I'm sure it wasn't easy for everyone out there, and it still isn't. We have to figure out this new normal, and still try to strive to get better every day.